Good evening and welcome to the Monday, May 11th Maplewood City Council meeting. For those of you who are watching online or tune in later, we did our budget kickoff in the manager's workshop right before this council meeting. Yes, it is the start of our budget season. It may only be May, but we have a lot of time and opportunity to come up with the very best budget that we can. And so tonight was the kickoff. We also announced all of the different public engagement opportunities, including surveys and different summer events that we will have this summer, where you will have a chance to weigh in and share with us your priorities. And I have to say that we really work hard at the budget, our staff. When I say we, I'm really looking at our staff. The staff works hard and they present it to us as the policymakers. And I have to say that we really dive deep into preparing the best budget that we can. I have to say that today I attended the Regional Council of Mayors meeting. And how does that relate to our budget? Well, we met at the Federal Reserve. And it was probably about 35 mayors, I think. We got a tour of the Federal Reserve, had an opportunity. We had a presentation by the 9th District Fed Chair, Neil Kashikara, and Aileen Chernoff, the Vice Chair, was there as well. We had an opportunity to ask questions, I think very meaningful questions about the impact of inflation and tariffs and what we can expect in terms of forecasting ahead for the economy. So it's not that we're just having discussions here, it goes much deeper than that. I have to say it was really a great opportunity, and if you ever get a chance to do a tour of the Federal Reserve, please take it. And yes, we did get to see the vault. That was kind of the highlight for everyone. But it was a very meaningful opportunity because we have to, each one of us, and we actually talked about this as a group, that we have the responsibility of formulating a budget for our communities, and there's a lot of moving pieces that go into it. So it was I feel like I did more than just the budget kickoff tonight. I've kind of been immersed in budget kinds of things for most of the day today. So it was a good day. It was a good day. So with that, let us start with our Pledge of Allegiance, please, and get our meeting started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Sint, would you do the roll call for us?
Councilmember Cave.
Here.
Councilmember Juniman.
Here.
Councilmember Lee.
Present.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
I'm here as well. Thank you. Council members, would someone like to make a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve our agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to the approval of minutes, we have the April 27th, 2026 City Council Workshop minutes. Would someone like to make that motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the April 27th, 2026 City Council Workshop minutes. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I will abstain because I was not present. Thank you. Next, we have the April 27th, 2026 City Council meeting minutes. Would someone like to make that motion?
I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, the motion to approve the April 27th, 2026 City Council meeting minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain again. I'll abstain. Thank you. All right, moving on to appointments and presentations. Administrative presentations, the council calendar update. Mr. Sable, this is yours.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. Just a quick update on the council. Just note that May 26th meeting is a Tuesday, so it'll be day after Memorial Day. So just please adjust your calendars for that. And then starting to forecast out into June, June 8th, we will have the climate mitigation plan adoption. I know that that has been many months in the making, so it is finally reaching its conclusion. We will have a presentation by someone from Ellers about our general obligation improvement bond issuance. We're not sure which one, but it's always nice when our friends from Ellers make an appearance at the council meetings. And then I also just want to forecast that we're going to add a special council meeting on June 15th to talk exclusively about the budget. So the mayor mentioned the budget kickoff. This is really kind of a deep dive opportunity to talk about council priorities for the remainder of the year. So please come prepared with as many questions as you can have, and staff will be prepared to provide some historical context for everything. But I think that is a great grounding exercise, and I thought it was important that we do it as kind of a standalone item. So I know that it's June, I know that it's summer, but we'll have 3 meetings in the month of June. So I just want to say that there's also a lot of summer events that are starting in earnest. And I know that City Clerk Sint had forecasted a number of community festivals that will range in the thousands of participants, and we received another 3 applications in the past 2 weeks. So it's the place to be this summer, and so it will be very busy and very fun, and we'll manage it throughout. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Sable? Okay, and we have no council presentations tonight. We have a presentation by our management intern, Colin Vu. Mr. Sable, do you want to set this up?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yeah, come on up while we get set up. The city of Maplewood took an investment in setting a management intern program last year for the first time. It is something that I think is important to me professionally, that I got my first start working in a city because somebody gave me an opportunity. And so I had always pledged that when there was ever given an opportunity to create a program like this, I would. And so with your support, we were able to create this management intern position. Colin Vu was our first inaugural intern, and I can say as many things. I'll stop saying too many things, but Colin has been head and shoulders above what anybody would have expected. He took every task. He created his own tasks. He was always asking for more things. He was just an exceptional talent, and one of the pieces of a culmination of the whole year is sort of a capstone, to talk to talk about the journey, what you've learned, and then also give the community an opportunity to see him in action. So not only is this a culmination of a year, but it's also kind of a springboard to the next career, which I know is going to be successful. And so with that, we'll get the slide deck up and running. And sorry. Okay, thanks.
Welcome.
You get it?
I don't think the microphone is on.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Alrighty. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Colin Vu. I've been the City of Maplewood's intern since May of 2025, and I've been the intern for roughly 1 year now, so it's amazing to say that a year has flown by incredibly fast. And when I was creating this presentation, I was trying to determine what should I add, and I just decided to add in everything that I've worked on throughout the past year, and to say it's a mouthful would be an understatement, but just to begin. So I'd like to break down into different quarters throughout my year being here. So just within the first quarter, my first goal was to connect with as many of our leadership team as I could. And one question that I asked each member of our leadership team was, how do you define success? And each member defined success as being family-oriented and creating the best opportunity for the residents. And immediately to me, that stood out, as Maplewood's pillar is to support and empower people. And as that is one of our pillars, I recognize how important that is to not only our staff members, but to our residents. And next, just working on the revision of personnel policies, just trying to ensure that what we have written down for our staff members is accurate and they can refer to it And I think this is a great opportunity just to really dive into that realm, as I want to focus in human resources, understanding how to revise personnel policies, played a great role in understanding how the city operated, and especially how staff can follow these rules and regulations to ensure that what we have is the best city. Next is the charitable gambling. Although you may have not known, but I assisted our administrative team in creating ideas for what the charitable gambling was and how can we properly allocate those funds to award those winners of those fundings. And last but not least, for the June through August quarter is a lunch and learn with our embedded social worker and fire marshal. We discuss the unsheltered population here in Maplewood and how can we provide the best resources and tools for our staff members to clean up those encampment sites, and also to treat the unsheltered population with dignity and respect. Next is our second quarter. So this quarter, I spent heavily with connecting with various city leaders. Some I connected with was the city manager of Brooklyn Park, Stillwater, Roseville, and Bloomington. It was just a great opportunity to connect with different leaders as they have varying of demographics, and understanding how they operated played a great role in understanding how I can apply that into Maplewood itself, as we have about 43,000 residents and other cities have 80,000 to 100,000. How can we implement their skills and learnings into Maplewood? And during this time as well, I created the idea and concept of the capstone project, which I'll be diving into shortly. But I started connecting with local nonprofit organizations within Maplewood and outside of Maplewood. I connected with over 40 nonprofit organizations, sitting down with them, going to their buildings and touring who they were, understanding more about what opportunities they have present for Maplewood residents, and as well as attending the APMP conference. This is a great way to network and socialize with other city leaders as well, and also connecting with other interns from other cities. Very rare occurrence for me to find other interns in other cities, but it's a great opportunity to connect with them, learn more about what they're doing, how their city's operating. And last but not least is the pillars and purpose. This is something that we started to implement as a city for our new staff members joining the city, discussing who Maplewood is, what our three pillars are, and why they are important to who we are, and how we apply these pillars and purpose to becoming, as I like quote City Manager Michael Sable, to become the best run city in the East Metro. How can we apply these pillars to become that? Next is the third quarter, December through February, and during this time, I wanted to really dive into other departments. So I spent about a month shadowing our payroll coordinator, as well as joining as many trainings as I could. One training that stood out was the high performer organization training held by this city manager, Michael Sable again. Just learning how the city can change its culture to become more efficient in tools and resources that we have. How can we push ourselves outside the norm and become a greater city, so that others may look at us as not only leaders in our field, but also just setting the standard that they can follow. Next is a new program that the city was involved with, is with actually Hill Murray. We interned 2 students from their high school, and they provided assistance for our administrative team. So you could say an intern's intern almost. But they provided great assistance with just our day-to-day task, and also creating new ideas for our safety committee and providing assistance with our wellness committee. I think it was just a great opportunity to have some fresh light, and especially young ideas on what the city could be in the future. And as well as trainings, just performing the Clifton Strengths training with our HR manager, Nancy Steele, who really allowed me to understand my strengths. How can I apply that into the workforce and into teams, and understanding what strengths connect strongly with each other and which ones compete at times. And our final quarter, which is currently now, I've performed some compensation studies for the League of Minnesota Cities, currently revising our job descriptions for over 80 roles here in Maplewood, some ranging from the early 2000s, some ranging from 2025, so just having the history of how jobs used to operate, very interesting. And as well as being able to attend the Heading Home Ramsey meeting, just learning about the unsheltered population here in Ramsey County, what resources are available. And there are some great speakers there, as well as city leaders who discuss what tools they're implementing into preventing homelessness. And last but not least is career fairs. I had the great ability to join 3 different areas for career fairs. So the first was the Moan College Prep Academy in St. Paul. with over 700 students attend just to discuss what city government is and how government operates. And safe to say, we had a large amount of students interested in local government, which I think it's great to expose young minds and young adults to what local government is if they've never explored that career path before. And next is North Senior High School, which is right up the road from us. This is another great way to connect with local schools about how cities operate. It was great that students came up to me and asked me, how did I find myself in local government? How did I apply for internships? It was just great to provide my previous history and my education to high schoolers who are interested in seeking higher education. And next is project management, which I dove heavily into in 2025 and 2026. I'd like to start off with some projects that I was engaged with. First is the police department rain garden, which I'd like to say left a mark with the city, which was my intention. Just coming to the city every day and seeing the rain garden slowly grow and hoping to see it there within the next 10 years when I come by and see that I left a mark with the city, a physical mark. Next is the 1902 archival management project for our Metro INET. We had over 70 years of maps located in one room up in 1902, the Public Works building, which was previously our community development building. And really getting to learn the history of Maplewood through those maps, how has Maplewood developed throughout the years, and connecting with various stakeholders, Metro INET, Shred-it, Mid-America, and the documentation process for our community development team. Next is the Nonprofit Expo, which I like to say definitely left a mark within the city as well, and with nonprofit organizations from across the metro coming in and saying that they wanted this event more frequently. Some wanted it quarterly, some want it annually, but we'll see how that goes. And next is the ICMA Emerging Leader Development Program, which I can't say enough words about this program. It's been amazing just to learn about different cities and how they operate, especially nationally, connecting with different stakeholders who have experience in crisis management, communications, and more importantly, AI, as it's a growing tool of every city. And it's a little odd being in the ICMA program, as I'm the only one in the Midwest. I'm the youngest individual there, but I'd like to say that I've provided great information to other cities, especially when it comes to our safety trainings, for example. We recently performed a safety walkthrough, ordered emergency kits for our different buildings, and when I discussed this with other cities, they've mentioned they've never thought of that before, so it was great just to share ideas. And next is just a quick video of the Nonprofit Expo that was hosted on April 16th. Hi.
Hi, how are ya?
I've had a chance to talk to some of the community partners that are here, as well as people that are living in the community. It's been good.
Today we are attending Maplewood's first Nonprofit Expo with roughly 25 vendors from across the Twin Cities. The biggest outcome is just for nonprofits to come together, build connections and partnerships. Oh, that's great.
I'm recently retired, and I thought it might be a good opportunity to come and see what kind of volunteer opportunities are available in my local area.
This is wonderful, and it's great to see all the local organizations. The people that are coming are people that live here, so it's convenient for them.
So we're always looking for people.
I want to give back to my community and help those that are desperately in need, and also to help the elderly and the other people with special needs. I love doing that.
Yes. I think the most important thing about volunteering is just community. Neighbors helping neighbors, people getting out and responding to real needs so that they can better understand their community at large.
In these difficult, challenging times, people sometimes feel very isolated, and by connecting with community and by volunteering, they are not just connecting, but at the same time, they're also building their skills and deepen the connection with people that they have not even known because they are isolated.
This is just the pilot event, but hopefully this event can occur more frequently within the next few years.
I think giving back to the community is fulfilling for me, and it's good for my community.
And alrighty, and some major takeaways I've had from this internship, which I feel that I would not had the opportunity from other internships. One of the biggest major takeaways is becoming a high-performing organization. I feel that this isn't discussed enough in other cities or in other organizations, but becoming proactive in the culture change. How can we become greater leaders? How can we become individuals who promote change? I think this highlights really the Maplewood, ever since I've joined the city, just how can we continuously grow and become better. Next is the perspective change. One thing that when I first joined, the quote, 30,000-foot view was thrown around quite often, and this wasn't thrown often in college, so this was quite confusing to me. But now I understand that it means just to have a greater lens, especially when it comes to leadership, to working your task on hand, but to have that 30,000-foot view and see things not only a year and ahead, but understand each problems and how can we create solutions to those problems. And next is community growth. As Maplewood is growing with the Century Ponds development coming up and coming, just understanding what community growth means and how can we implement our resources and tools into that growth to not only promote residents coming into Maplewood, but also residents leaving Maplewood with an understanding of, I know how the city works, I know how the city operates. But these were just some of my major takeaways. Of course, if you sat down with me and talked to me, I'd love to share more. There are more takeaways than this, but this right away when I think about Maplewood, these are the takeaways I have. But I appreciate your time, and if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them.
I want to thank you for your commitment to Maplewood, and I want to thank Mike Sable too, because educating and training up leaders is absolutely critical to the future of our community. And I really like all of the different kinds of things that you were able to experience in Maplewood, and especially the Nonprofit Expo. I think that is a natural fit from what we have seen of our community, people helping each other, people volunteering in a number of different ways. I'm looking forward. I'm sure we're going to have another one. I know that's on the radar. And council members, I'll just remind you that several council meetings ago, we agreed to have staff look into Just Serve, which I think is a nice way to kind of dovetail what you have done in terms of bringing nonprofits together. I talked to Mike about it today, and that resolution from the council will be coming out, I think, in our next council meeting.
Mayor and council members, within the next two. I'll
Okay,
give myself
within the
a
next
cushion.
Which is a nice kind of a follow-up to what you have done, because it's those connections that really matter. So thank you. We wish you the best in your next endeavor. Thank you for everything that you've done for Maplewood. We appreciate it. And we hope, it sounds like it was a very good experience for you.
It was amazing.
Wonderful. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Thank you, Colin, for doing this year internship. What a stellar amount of things that you did. I'm just so impressed by that. So thank you for choosing Maplewood. And it was great to get to know you. You attended many, like you said in your presentation, many of the events that we did. And it's great to know that young people can come to Maplewood and have a good experience. So thank you.
Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. Colin, I just want to say I'm incredibly proud of you and how much, and seeing you have grown so much, how much you've grown this last year. From our initial conversation when you started in the one office, the little break room, to who you are today, you've grown significantly. And to really see what type of opportunity we talked a little bit about this, that there's so much more opportunity in government, and getting this opportunity is such a great opportunity for you to really see what is out there. My internship, I data entry every day for 3 months, and that was not fun. So I think, I didn't get the experience that you got, so I'm happy and I'm proud that Maplewood can provide that sort of opportunity. I've heard from at least 2 youth already that have seen your article and are excited to apply for this next round of intern. Outside of that piece, you did so much. I don't know what's there going to be. I don't know if there's going to be any work left for the next intern to do. But my question to you is, what would you say to someone who's considering applying for this internship?
I'd say to take every opportunity the city offers. Every day is something different, so if something's offered to you, just say yes and do it. I feel that every day was always a challenge, but I appreciate the challenge as I felt that it really allowed me to grow myself as a leader.
Thank you, and good luck.
Councilmember Cave.
Colin, I just want to, everyone commented on how wonderful you did. I can't even express what a great job you did, and your shoes are going to be so big to fill for the next intern. I do appreciate Mike's insight into bringing someone like you into the staff. not only did you show all the things you did and the experiences you had, but staff also had experience with you, and it is everything but positive. So I look forward to your endeavors. I know you're going to go far, and the next Colin 2.0 hopefully is out there. I remember meeting you. I got to tell you, in the maps room, that when we were on the tour, that room that used to be full of, it was up with you, Steve, and Colin cleaned it out, and it was full of not much, papers and maps, and you did a great job. So here's to you. Thank you.
Councilmember Juniman.
I just want to thank you for all that you did and for being the kind of person you are, that you took everything on and were willing to learn from it. That's incredible. It's wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Sable.
Thanks, Mayor and council members. I also just want to show my appreciation to the leadership team. This was an absolute team effort. I mean, you got to do ride-alongs, and you were in all of the vehicles and got to experience the entire city. And the leadership team really did tried to put as much into the internship as we could, and so it was an incredible success. I'm so glad you said yes. It's been wonderful. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Colin.
Thank you.
Council members, next on our agenda is our consent agenda. We have items G1 through 5. Would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda item G1 through 5.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman. The motion to approve consent agenda items G1 through 5. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We have Councilmember Lee.
Well, I was just going to see if we can highlight G2, the financial report.
We'll stick it in, even though it's already been approved. Mr. Rube, did you want to comment on that?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Part of the transparency that we try to provide are financial reports. As you recall, actually G1 are all the disbursements that are sent out every 2 weeks, so council can approve that and review it, whether it's through accounts payable, Visa statements, as well as payroll, electronic disbursements. That's all part of G1. So you see all those expenditures, but then we also want to give you a high-level review of overall the general fund, what it looks like at Q1, and then also looking at our investments and how those look. So as you can see from the charts for investments, we're pretty well diversified. We make sure that we're looking at security because it is not our money, it's the community and the residents' money, so we want to make sure that it's safe, and then we have it available as needed.
Thank you. Moving on, we have no public hearings tonight, no unfinished business. Going to new business, we have a conditional use permit and setback variance concerning Peach Automotive. Ms. Parr, this is your topic tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I will draw your attention to the overhead as soon as we pull it up, and we'll get started. This is pertaining to a property at 1770 Jarvis Avenue East. If you're familiar with the area, you will recognize it there outlined in red. You will see to the north of it, we have residential properties, and then adjacent to it on the west and east and on the south, it is more industrial. This is one of those areas where you see in our community, over time, we have different types of uses coming together. And when we do that, we need to kind of take that into consideration and take a look to see, is this meeting our zoning and guiding in respect to what's being asked of it. This has historically been used as an industrial type use since 1988 when it was built. The properties to the north, the residential, they came about in 1999 to 2014. So just keep that in mind as we go through. It's one of the things that we looked at in considering this, and it's one of the things the Planning Commission looked at as well. So as I mentioned, you can see the 1.36 acre site in red there. This is Peach Tree Care. It's a tree trimming and removal contractor. It currently operates in the site. If you go there, you'll see that. They have a number of areas within the building that they don't currently utilize. And so there was, similar to what you saw in another application about a year and a half ago, there was a understanding that there might be a way to better utilize that. And some of these industrial type uses, such as car repair that are minimal, and not major car repair, but more minimal car repair, sometimes fit well in those spots, particularly in a case like this where it's all in the interior of the building. So to move forward with this, the applicant needs to have approval of a conditional use permit and then the setback variance. And part of that is obviously because of the adjacent residential properties. This will quickly just go through the rest of these. As far as the comp plan, it obviously is guided appropriately for this particular use, and what they're asking would meet the intent of the comp plan as well for that designation, which is employment. Zoning, M1, which is light manufacturing. This is also consistent with that. The vehicle maintenance garage is required to be, as I said, at least 350 feet from any property for residential use. So that's what the request is in relation to the variances to the north there. The site was initially developed in '88, as I mentioned. Schwann's Enterprises was there for quite a while, and then we also had a contractor that came in between Schwann's and the current user right now, and we believe there was some car repair done as a part of that, so it's not inconsistent with how it was being used previously. The garage bays for the general maintenance of these vehicles would offer routine and minor maintenance services to the public, such as oil changes and basic upkeep. That would be done on the interior, as I mentioned. If there are some accessory type things, adding washer fluid or something they may do on the exterior in a very limited way, but it has to all be within the yard. They can't store anything long-term in the yard that is fenced, has a fence around it as well. And they're making no exterior modifications as a part of this proposal. If they want to do that, they would have to come back. As you can see on the overhead, the site boundary is in dark red on the left side. And then you'll see in the middle, you can get a better sense of the parking spaces that are there. And then if you look to on the far right-hand side, you'll see the interior, which gives you a better idea of where the doors are. There are 4 doors on the western side there, north and south, the west side of the building. And that's the primary entrance points for the garages. Otherwise, there's office, and they will continue to use it as it has been previously for the tree operations. The property is between 57 and 105 feet when measured from the site's property line to the adjacent residential property lines across Jarvis Avenue. It obviously curves around there, so it's not consistent all the way around, but approximately 92 feet to the residential property across Jarvis Court diagonally. State statute allows us to consider 3 things as a part of this: reasonableness, uniqueness, and essential character. Staff found that the zoning ordinance permits a vehicle maintenance garage on the property, subject to a conditional use permit. Similar light manufacturing, auto-oriented businesses have historically operated in the neighborhood, and when you drive around that area, you'll see that right away. It's kind of the feel of that area south of Jarvis. The property, as I mentioned, was developed in '88. Largely will be utilized the same, with the exception of those empty bays. They're going to utilize those for this repair service, and they are zoned to permit this use. As I mentioned, historically they have been used this way, but now they're asking for the conditional use permit to make it legal. They purchased the property in 2024, and previously it was another user that was there, as I mentioned. The public hearing notice was sent to 17 properties within 500 feet. No comments were received, and no one came to the meeting to speak in favor or against the proposal. We had staff take a look at the project. There are a number of conditions that are within the staff report that they need to comply with. I spoke to them again today, and they are aware of all of those and have no issues with any of those requirements. Planning Commission recommended approval on April 21st. We have with us tonight Michael Pash, the owner, and Mo Neer. If you'd like to ask them any questions, they're here in the audience and could speak to it as well. With that, we recommend a motion to approve a conditional use permit and setback variance resolution for the property at 1770 Jarvis Avenue East, subject to the numerous conditions within the approval. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you for that report. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Parr? And then, if we have any questions, we'll ask those, and then I'll ask you to come up to the dais or up to the microphone in just a minute. Any questions for Ms. Parr? Okay, then do you want to join us up at the microphone, please? Good evening and welcome.
Hello.
Is there anything you'd like the council to know about your proposal?
I guess we aren't really prepared for that. Yeah, you know, I think Danette did a good job. It's not really out of character for the area or the shop itself. For a tree trimming, tree removal business, we've got a lot of real estate, a lot of square footage inside the building, extra offices that just sit empty, and same with the garage area. And the mortgage is up there, you know, so it would help to, you know, justify that as well. So, yeah, so we do our own repairs. The last company was an HVAC company, so they'd have, you know, small vans, and they would go around town, fix your AC, fix your heating for you, and they would work on their own vehicles, you know, inside the shop. So we do the same thing. I'd say probably, you know, a good half of the shop is just completely unused. Good half of the offices are unused. His office is unused. We basically just have a kitchenette and a common area, and we've got a front desk that, you know, I just set my lunch on sometimes, you know, it's that, you know, so we've got everything we need.
It sounds like a reasonable use of some extra footage that you've got in your building.
Right, yep, exactly, yeah.
Let me ask you this, are you okay with some of the restrictions that we have in terms of the hours of operation and the, you know, the vehicles have to be stored inside of the building? Are you fine with those?
Yep, that's perfect. Yeah, that's completely reasonable. You know, the
Okay.
basic 9 to 5, and, you know, you keep, you know, I understand that. If I was a city manager or a planner, you know, if you let somebody leave a vehicle outside for just a few hours because you're just working on it, that turns into a day, I can completely understand how that would.
Okay. Any questions for the owners? Okay, council members, then we have, thank you very much. Did you think you'd be talking tonight? You did a very good job.
I appreciate it.
We have one motion. Council members, would someone like to make it?
I move to approve a conditional use. It's a choral response.
Yes.
How about if
Kathleen,
Councilmember Judeman, and then we'll
All right.
reserve the second for you, is that okay?
Okay, I move to approve a conditional use permit and setback variance resolution for the property at 1770 Jarvis Avenue East.
Second.
Moved by Juneman, seconded by Villavicencio, the motion to approve a conditional use permit and setback variance resolution for the property at 1770 Jarvis Avenue East, subject to certain conditions of approval. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go.
All right.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much.
We did
Have a
pretty
good
well for
evening,
not
guys. Thank
practicing
you.
together.
Yes.
Wire.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Next, we have a resolution of support for Ramsey County EDA. Mr.
Yep, it'll be me too.
Sable.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. This is a resolution that has been requested by leadership from Ramsey County. As you know, in 2025, Ramsey County sought approval at the Minnesota Legislature to expand their eligible uses of their Housing and Redevelopment Authority dollars, and which would require them to create an economic development authority. And what Ramsey County is trying to do is to expand their economic growth and community investment programs and initiatives that they have. They have asked every community in Ramsey County to opt in to this piece. It is a statutory requirement. I believe the only city who has opted out, I believe, is North St. Paul, and that was years ago. And so this is a request from them to put this forward. As you know, Ramsey County does a number of economic growth initiatives, primarily around growing new businesses, whether it's CEO Now or CEO Next, or their Ramsey County Open to Business. And what they're trying to do is to expand that offering to also improve the capacity of business support organizations, so community development organizations, to help new entrepreneurs do business plans and develop financing models, really to expand some technical service offerings. So again, trying to spur economic growth and job creation in the county. And I think lastly, the sort of the largest, they're estimating approximately about a $2 million budget that would begin in 2027. And that really is providing some grants and low-interest loans to businesses looking to start up and to expand. And so by choosing to opt in, the city of Maplewood is able to access those dollars. As you know, I like to do simple math, and so about half of the money would come to the suburbs, and we would get about 20% of that half. So there is some real dollars and real investment that we can make, and I think Danette Parr has a really strong relationship with the whole Ramsey County team, and so we're excited to put forward this. I think I would say there's no harm in doing this, but there's a potential lot of upside, and this is my opportunity to thank Ling Becker and the team at Ramsey County for being good leaders and good partners, and this is our small opportunity to also then offer that partnership back and say we would support their initiative. So with that, we'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Sable. I want to say thank you to Ramsey County as well. In reading this was really pretty exciting. To see what the potential of this could be for some small businesses in our city and for Ramsey County just in general. So thank you, Ramsey County. This is, I think, a very excellent way to expand your EDA authority. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a couple of questions for City Manager Sable. One, you mentioned that North St. Paul opted out. Do you know why they opted out?
Mayor, council members, Councilmember Villavicencio, I do not. I just know that they're not eligible for HRA dollars.
Okay. And of course, I always think, regional work is the best for everybody. But one thing that I know that our residents care about is like the breakdown. You mentioned that Maplewood will get a portion of the breakdown of the money that's equal to our size, but is that in statute, or what makes us reassured that that will happen?
Mayor, council members, Councilmember Villavicencio, so it is an internal policy in Ramsey County that these programs be divided 50-50 between St. Paul and suburbs. Historically, St. Paul's always been the largest in population and has often had the most access to dollars, and so Ramsey County's kind of pledged internally that any dollars that they give out will be divided 50-50. And then as the second largest city in Ramsey County, we're 9% of the population, but we tend to get a little bit more than that. So because we have good programs and we have good services, and so I think Ramsey's pledged their commitment to do the 50-50 split, and then we must compete within the other suburbs in Ramsey County, and if we're doing our job well, we'll come out ahead in the long run, I hope.
Okay, thank you.
Add a little bit of information to North St. Paul. Darcy, this is, I think, a historic anomaly that North St. Paul opted out years ago of the Ramsey County EDA. They have their own. This isn't anything that's new. And so therefore, their residents do not pay into the Ramsey County EDA the way we do. And so it's all tied together. This isn't a recent decision or anything having to do with North St. Paul. It's just the way that they structured it. They weren't ever part of it. Danette, do you have any more specifics about that?
I don't, Madam Mayor. I would concur with what you just stated, but beyond that, I'm not aware.
Okay. And it benefits our residents, so, yeah. Council members, would someone like to make that motion?
I motion to approve the resolution exercising the city's authority to opt in to and support the Ramsey County Economic Development Authority.
Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Juniman. the motion to approve the resolution exercising the city's authority to opt into and support the Ramsey County Economic Development Authority. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to the gun range. This is kind of a culmination of, I think we've talked about this many times, well, I think I've brought this up at our council meeting multiple times. We have met with the county, we have met with the city of St. Paul, and that's only since January. This actually goes back years. So this isn't anything that is particularly new. Mr. Sable, do you want to do the staff report on this?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and council members. This is a resolution that was drafted by staff as a result of the conversation on April 13th. A majority of the city council had said, we would like you to put forward a resolution expressing our opposition to continued use of the outdoor gun range that is currently on Ramsey County property and controlled and managed by the city of St. Paul. In your council packet is a number of background items that I will walk through. I think it's important for the community to hear it if they don't have access to the packet. But in the mid-1950s, the City of St. Paul Police Department began using a parcel of land owned by Ramsey County as a pistol range. It was in the early stages of policing and the use of, and so they operated that firearms training center on county-owned land in the city of Maplewood. In March of '72, the city of St. Paul entered into an agreement with the then named village of Maplewood, putting some conditions about what that would look. So there was issues that were addressed that were dealt with hours of operation and also of coordination with the police in St. Paul and the police in the city of Maplewood. And so I think I'll just reference Colin Vu talked about finding historical maps and historical documents. It's often difficult to find things from 50 and 60 years ago. And so as we have done research on this, we've just uncovered more agreements and more documents and more signed. And so we wanted to provide some context that there are a number of agreements that exist out there. In November of '74, Ramsey County officially entered into a 99-year lease with the city of St. Paul. It is a no-cost lease, so the city of St. Paul does not pay for the use of the land and the gun range. That lease will continue until December 31st of 2073, which is a very long time. And I'll provide just a little bit of context. When the city of St. Paul initially began shooting at the outdoor gun range, it was a farm field, and there were no neighbors nearby there. Since that time, the city population has grown considerably. I believe the population and when the city was incorporated was 14,200. Today it's 42,000, which is if my math is correct, 196% growth in population in that time. And so the characteristics of the neighborhood have changed. In 1989, the city of St. Paul did actually acquire land in the city of Maplewood. They own about a 4.7 acre parcel next door. It's immediately to the west to serve as kind of a noise buffer because as the community changed, as more people moved in, there were more complaints about noise and disruption. And so the city of St. Paul actively worked to create a little bit of a noise buffer. The city has received complaints about noise probably since its inception, but we know that they've increased. In May of 2021, Ramsey County entered into a revised lease agreement, reducing the hours of operation, so shrinking that time that there was shooting there, and also provided suppression devices because as technology has changed, the types of weapons that they shot changed, and long rifles are very loud, so suppressors were put onto long guns, and there also handguns have changed considerably. So the other component in that lease was providing notification to neighbors within a certain radius about here's when shooting will occur. I would say that this issue really came to a head when Ramsey County decided to sell its portion of the golf course and then bring that into a housing development. So as you know, Maplewood will be introducing its first new neighborhood in more than 25 years at the Century Ponds project, and so you approved a conditional use permit and design review and wetland buffer variance for a new structure. So that coincided with that housing development coincided with the City of St. Paul application to create a new building on the site that they leased from Ramsey County. And so last year you approved the City of St. Paul application for a new building, which spurred this conversation about what is the future of the gun range and what ought to be an appropriate use on that land. So not only did you approve with the City of St. Paul application for the conditional use permit, but also near the same time frame, we've had the conversation about the Century Ponds development, and so in March of this year, we have our final approval of that 206-unit development adjacent to the gun range. And so all of these things culminated in a conversation about what is the appropriate use of land in Maplewood, what is the highest and best use for our community, and what do we want to see. And I would say this is probably the 20th conversation I've had about this in a public setting. Maybe not exactly right, but it's been a long time. And so at the meeting on April 13th, the council asked us to put forward a resolution. And so what you have before you is a resolution expressing opposition to continued operation of the St. Paul Outdoor Firearms Training Facility located on Ramsey County property within the city of Maplewood. I just will recognize that there are a lot of moving parts to this, and so it can feel cumbersome. So what's before you is you have a number of whereas clauses that ultimately lead into 6 actions being requested by the City Council. The first one is formal opposition to continued operation of the outdoor training facility within its municipal boundaries. I don't think the City of Maplewood has ever formally declared its opposition as a governing body that this is no longer a use that we would support. It's been in use for a long time, and the characteristics of the neighborhood have changed. The second one calls for advocacy for residents. The city reaffirms its obligation to advocate for its residents to ensure that local conditions are not dictated by external decisions that often fail to account for Maplewood's evolution as a community. So I talked about the evolution of the neighborhood and also the population growth. It's fundamentally a different type of parcel than it was in the 1960s. Number 3, there is a rejection of the status quo justification. It has been often repeated that, well, these people knew the gun range was there, so they shouldn't have to live with it. But that justification doesn't hold water, so the city affirms that longevity alone does not constitute justification for continuation of an inappropriate land use, and policies and practices must be evaluated based on present-day impacts, community expectations, and alignment with public good. So those have evolved. Number 4 calls for immediate re-engagement. This city calls upon Ramsey County to re-engage in a meaningful and solution-oriented process that includes evaluation of alternative uses of the property or relocation of the facility. This is a Ramsey County parcel of land. They are the fee title owner of the property, and they will ultimately dictate. They do have a lease agreement with the City of St. Paul, so it's not simply a one-sided conversation, but it is ultimately Ramsey County's land from which they would choose to do with it. Number 5, the City of Maplewood remains willing to work collaboratively to identify alternatives that support public safety training needs while respecting the integrity, growth, and quality of life for Maplewood residents. I will say historically, the City of Maplewood Police Department had previously used that range as a free service because there is a police officer standards and training requirement for outdoor shooting. A decision was made several years ago to no longer have Maplewood officers shoot there at the range, and so our officers actually use a range in Forest Lake for their outdoor practice. In fact, I saw an officer walking in today who had just had their certification process. So it is a requirement within the police community, but it does not have to be in Maplewood, and Maplewood officers no longer use that. And so that was a decision. And then lastly, the final item is that the city clerk is asked to transmit this resolution to both the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners and the City of St. Paul, and I say relevant regional partners, which would largely probably be other law enforcement agencies who might use that range. And so I apologize for going long, but I think this is an important conversation to have, and we wanted to make sure that it was thoughtful and on the record, and also then outline, the City of Maplewood, this resolution says We formally oppose the continued use of it. We're willing to be a regional partner on finding a new path forward, and we just put this forward as a request. And so I would expect questions or conversation from the council. And so with that, I'll turn it back.
Thank you, Mr. Sable, and thank you for staff for putting this together. Thank you, Mr. Beatty, for giving us the legal eye on this. I really appreciate that. It's one thing to say that this is a no-cost lease, which is a little bit concerning. Ramsey County owns the property. We are part of Ramsey County, and there is no charge for St. Paul to use the property. But I would suggest that there is a cost, and the cost is to Maplewood residents who are near there, who hear that, who are subjected to the perpetual gunfire at an outdoor range. And I have, on my time on the council, I have never hesitated when things don't make sense, just because we've done something one way, to continue to do it that way. We really need to dig into things and really consider what are there for alternatives. I appreciate that, we want to continue with the dialogue, and part of that dialogue is, we talked a little bit today, Maplewood is looking to heavily invest in a public safety training center in our community that will be a regional asset. So we stand for the proposition that we need to make sure that our public safety officers are very well trained. I do have a question for you, and this is another reason why all of this has kind of come together. In the new ponds development, that when Ramsey County sold the property, we've gone through all of the approvals with D.R. Horton. That was who they sold it to. Can you refresh for the council's memory just how close the nearest townhome is going to be and the nearest park? Because we're looking at the addition of, I think it's 207, it's a whole new neighborhood, townhomes and single-family homes. And the numbers that I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the nearest townhome will be within about 65 feet of the property line for the gun range. Is that about right? Is that Ms. Parr or Mr. Sable?
Mayor and council members, while I buffer some time for the staff to look that up, that distance would make sense. It would be consistent with that. I don't think it would be substantially more than that. With regard to you're correct. So the Century Ponds development does include a new city park that is paid for by the developer. And that park is about 600 feet or so straight due north of the firing range itself. And so the houses in the townhome units that are constructed near there will be very close. They will hear them. I can see both staff are, I'm sure, measuring using some sort of a Google Map feature on that. But you're right. Of the 206 units that are going to be there, the townhomes will be the closest because they are in the southeast corner of the development, and so they will be closest to the range. And there will be some single-family homes beyond the range itself, and so there is going to be noise that is going to be heard within that neighborhood. I will say that the developer D.R. Horton did make an effort to purchase that parcel as well. There was not interest on the Ramsey County or City of St. Paul site to make a change, but there was part of their desire to potentially purchase that and extend that housing development. So we do know that there is residential redevelopment interest on that parcel and potentially the parcel to the west if the City of St. Paul were interested in divesting of that.
Okay, and my other question before I move on to Councilmember Cave, as I recall, that St. Paul, Maplewood does not use the gun range. Ramsey County doesn't even use the gun range, and they're the owners of the property. The only users of the gun range is the City of St. Paul. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Mayor, the short answer is that within the 1972 lease agreement between the City of St. Paul and the Village of Maplewood, there is a provision that the City of St. Paul will be the only user, and if another agency wanted to use it, it would only be at the express permission of the police chief in Maplewood. That has not been in practice. In fact, the Ramsey County lease from 2021 says that other agencies may participate in coordination with the City of St. Paul. So there's actually a discrepancy between what the two leases say, because one is brand new and one is 50 years old, and people didn't look at it. So it is supposed to be the City of St. Paul only, but there have been instances where other agencies have used the range in coordination with them, which is, I think, inconsistent with what the lease agreement called for originally.
Thank you. Councilmember Cave.
Just comment that I think this is really well put together. I really like in the resolution, especially number 4, for immediate, re-engagement. I think it shows that our good faith, and this isn't something we just want to slap somebody on the wrist for. This is serious, like you mentioned. We're so close to the residents and to the park. I do have a question on number 6, though. Would it be relevant to add the St. Paul Police Chief on there? I know that it says relevant regional partners, but since they're such a big stakeholder in this, the police department, I just wonder if they should get the St. Paul Police Chief.
Mayor and council members, I would say you can amend any resolution that you would want to, but you can also, if there are enough head nods that you would want me to send it to the police chief, I can certainly do that. So
Okay.
I'll give you the choice of amending it on the fly or just telling me to do it. I'm happy to do either
Whatever's
one.
easier. If you want to send it to the police chief, however, yeah.
I certainly think
Yeah.
that sending it to the police chief makes sense.
Yep.
I am always reluctant to amend things on the fly because there's internal consistency, there's external consistency. And I know when I was reading this, this is incredibly accurate and reflects kind of the history that we have had with the gun range, bringing us to this resolution. So I would be fine just directing Mr. Sable.
As one of our regional partners
right,
is
as a
the
regional
police
partner to
chief?
send it. Councilmember Villavicencio, your thoughts? I agree. Okay, Councilmember Lee?
Well, I had some questions on paragraph 8 and 9, if we want to have some minutes to discuss that.
Well, first, the question before you is whether or not this should be sent to the St. Paul
Oh,
City
yeah,
Chief.
that was already a
Okay.
yes, yeah.
And Councilmember Cave, Councilmember Juniman, your thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes. Mr. Sable, are we good with that? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And Councilmember Lee, what are your questions?
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is, this has never been done before, to formally put together a resolution to tell Ramsey County that we are no longer interested in putting a gun range in South Maplewood. It's clear that we are not interested, our residents are not interested in it, and I think this is very well written. With the exception of just wanted to bring something to the council to kind of see, to have some conversations further on. On page 91, paragraph, whereas 9 and 10, I think everything else is very well written. But 9 and 10, when I read it, it feels a little, I get it. There's been some conversations, but I think what's important for me is we're going to continue to have meaningful and important good conversations into the future. The whole purpose of this resolution is to spark them to want to have conversations with us because we mean business. We want some change in South Maplewood, but I think paragraph 9 and 10 comes out a little bit heavy-handed, feels a little bit more finger pointing versus more diplomatic and more, let's continue to build our relationship. So I am interested to see if council would scratch 9 and 10. Everything else, though, I think looks really good. Paragraph 9 and 10 on 91, on page 91.
They aren't
So,
numbered.
Mayor, council members, Councilmember Lee, if I can, so if I work from the bottom page, if I work from the bottom whereas clause up, it would be the third from the bottom and the second from the bottom.
Does it start with whereas?
Yes.
It would be whereas the continued operation of this facility at its current location reflects a long-standing pattern in which problematic land uses are placed in neighboring communities with less influence over the decision. That would be number 9.
Number 9.
And number 10 would be the city of Maplewood has repeatedly raised concerns and sought constructive solutions, yet those concerns have not resulted in meaningful reconsideration or adjustment by the parties controlling the facility. So if those are the two that you're referencing, correct?
That is correct, City Manager.
Councilmember Cave, let's start with you.
I first want to know if we take it out, because we kind of talked about it on the backside. So give me a second here. I mean, I'm okay taking it out. I don't see, I want to see what's the pros and cons of taking it out? Can we have somebody with that? I mean, or is it just my opinion? Because I want to know if this is gonna, because we wrote a resolution, so I want to know what it means to take something out.
We'll talk to Mr. Beatty about that.
Okay.
I guess, I think I already shared that I do not like editing on the fly.
Okay.
Because when you do a document like this, there's internal consistency and external consistency. And I read this as looking at something, is this all factually correct? Yes, it is. And so I don't like changing things up at the DS. I don't, that's just my, that's
Yeah.
my thought on it. But Mr. Beatty, you certainly helped in editing
Yes.
this. So tell us your thoughts about editing on the fly.
Madam Mayor, Council, well, yes, this was a collaborative project. I think the intent for all of us who had a role in this was to draft something that would hang together as a whole. I think the mayor is correct. There is a risk of changing things until you have had a chance to look at them. What I would suggest is if there is an interest in taking out sections or modifying language or maybe supplementing the language, that one of the options would be to direct staff to produce another version or two of the resolution that could be brought back at a future meeting. You could then read the dueling resolutions and see which one you like better. Or you could conclude that the resolution as a whole hangs together and you're comfortable with it as written.
I will tell you, I certainly don't want to delay, but Councilmember Juneman, you have some thoughts?
I like it the way it is.
Okay.
It flows, and it says the entire story of why we are even writing it.
True.
And let us not forget that the same people own that piece of land, own the one that they ceased to have a golf course and decided that they were going to sell it to D.R. Horton. So I don't think it's out of line to remind them of these two paragraphs.
Okay, Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. I think my piece of it is, given that this is our first time that the council's come together to review this, that's why I wanted to bring that to the table, and that if there are items, if there's a way we can, my purpose in this is, I know where I stand on this issue, but I want to make sure that Ramsey County and St. Paul also knows that we want to continue having conversations. And so to your piece earlier, Councilmember Cave, number 9, we do mention it on the back, and I think where we mention on the back of number, I forgot what number it is, number 4. I think it's more respectful, it's more directive in terms of the verbiage and the language that comes in that number 4 is more in alignment with, are willing to work with them to have further conversations versus the whereas. I think that's very finger pointing, and I don't want to point any finger at Ramsey County or St. Paul. And number 10, I think that's a piece of it where when I read it, it's very finger pointing. It's your fault. That's not working out. And I think that's a piece of it is I want to make sure that they understand we're not pointing fingers. We want to have conversations with you. We want to move forward in a meaningful conversation. So that's why I'm interested in taking those out. Everything else, I don't question. I think everything else looks really good.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Thank you. I'm open to looking at an alternative version, but having said that, I think, when I look at these two sections, I mean, the word collaborative solutions is right in there, and I just think in this era that we are, that being a little bit strong is okay, and. But again, I'm open to looking at an alternative. But I look at these two sections as appropriately strong.
Okay, thank you. So we have Councilmember Cave, let's see if we can reach.
After hearing all my constituents, and I hear you all, whose words best reflected is probably Nikki for me. It's, I can see how we can change things, but this does very much show the problem we've been with Ramsey County for so long. With this, I think they need to see this. It's their property. They sold the golf course to it. So I think leaving it in there is going to be fine. I do see what, Councilmember Lee said, but I think leaving it in there is going to be fine.
So it seems to me that the majority of council members are fine with the draft as is. Is there any other discussion? Then would someone like to make the motion?
I move the resolution regarding the Ramsey County gun range.
Is there a
Second.
second? Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave. The motion to approve the resolution expressing opposition to the continued operation of the City of St. Paul Outdoor Firearms Training Facility located on Ramsey County property within the City of Maplewood. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain? Okay, there's one abstention. Mr. Sable?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So just to provide a context for what's next, we will, the city clerk will work to put this in a format that's suitable for sharing with appropriate signatures and seal. We will then distribute that to the Ramsey County Board, the City of St. Paul Mayor and City Council, and then we will do a secondary piece. I will largely share with County Manager Becker, and then obviously I'll probably include the St. Paul Police Chief. In terms of next steps, there is no deadline for a response from Ramsey County, so that will be potentially a part of this conversation. I will forecast to the City Council that the City of St. Paul has submitted a third application for a building design on the site that is currently in the process of review. And so you will likely see something, I'm going to look to Community and Economic Development Director Parr for an answer to that.
City Manager Sable, Madam Mayor, members of the council, we would expect that it would get to you next month. It needs to go to the Planning Commission. It'll be at their next meeting. So depending on how that goes, you could see it as early as next month.
Thank you for that update. Councilmember Cave.
And I have a question. Do they not have I'm sorry, don't they have to clean up the contamination? Don't we have something in place that they cannot, they're not going to be able to build anything until the contamination is cleaned up?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Cave, we do have a condition within the previously approved application that does speak to that. And we've had some conversations with them previously, them being Ramsey County, in relation to that because they are the responsible party as the property owner.
Okay.
So to be continued, I guess we should say.
So how does it, I just have a follow-up. I'm just a little confused here. Ramsey County's the property owner. They're responsible for cleanup, and yet St. Paul's going to propose a building on it. Seems like we're kind of, that just seems kind of odd when Ramsey County hasn't fulfilled their part of the bargain yet. They're allowing the tenant to give us a.
Ms. Parr?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, this particular request that they're having is specifically related to the building. The one that's going to be coming back to you is related to the building. To a greater extent, not so much the range components. Those are required. However, they are not, they're not necessarily exactly hand in hand. When the consideration came before the Planning Commission and ultimately before the council, it was more of a conversation about that building as an accessory use.
Thank you. Mr. Sable, anything else?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, stay tuned.
More to follow, I guess.
Yes.
All right, the next agenda item, the ordinance amending section 18273 pertaining to illicit discharges. Mr. Love, this is your topic tonight.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency does regular audits of cities' municipal separate storm sewer system permit. Now, that's a long name. It's probably, you know it better as MS4. It's a lot easier to say as well. During the recent interview, they did find that there was some code language that is required by recent changes to the existing permit that were not in our city code. They really dealt with the storage of de-icing salt material on commercial and industrial parks. And really what this comes down to is the language that we need to add into the code covers de-icing salt must be stored in an area that is covered or indoors. De-icing salt must be placed on impervious surfaces, and the facilities must implement practices to reduce exposure when transferring. So when you're moving it from vehicle to storage and whatnot. Section 18273, as you mentioned, is the illicit discharge section of our city code, and this is really the best spot for it because it speaks to protecting downstream water bodies. Staff does recommend making these changes. Also want to note that as fall approaches, we'll have an article in our Living about proper salt storage. And we're also going to be updating city staff as part of our annual illicit discharge training. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Love? Seeing none, would someone like to make the motion?
I move to approve the,
You got it, Kathy.
I move to approve the ordinance amending section 18-273 of the Maplewood City Code pertaining to illicit discharges, adding a new subdivision on proper salt storage.
Second.
Moved by Judeman, seconded by Lee. The motion is written in our packet. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have award of bids. This is for our street projects. Mr. Love, this is your topic.
Yes, Mayor and Council. As a quick reminder, our 2026 street improvement project is made up of two areas, as you can see on the overhead. The Walter Beam area, which is about 2.4 miles, that's going to be our pavement reclamation or grinding up the asphalt and new pavement. And County Road C, which is our full reconstruction area, and that's about 2 miles. So all in all, 4.4 miles of street improvements. These roads have an average PCI rating of 37 out of 100. So they're definitely in need of some love and attention. So these two areas also represent what I'm going to refer to as the base bid of the project, so all the street improvements. We did have one bid alternate, and on the County Road C area, you'll see that Barclay Street and Brooks, kind of in the middle of the lower image there, is part of that project. That Barclay there is adjacent to our Harvest Park property. That parking lot is our main parking lot, and one of the things in the master plan was noted is it needs to be replaced. So we added it on as a bid alternate since we're going to have a contractor right there in the area, and thought maybe if it worked out, we'd be able to do that as part of the street improvement project. So when we look at our bids, we did get two bids. The low bid was Park Construction Company. The base bid was $9,983,000. This was roughly about $46,000 over our engineer's estimate, so about 0.5%. The base bid, which is that parking lot, $195,000. That was roughly about $8,000 over our engineering estimate, again about 0.5%. So really close to our engineer's estimate. When we look at the overall project costs and the proposed funding plan, the total project cost is $11,786,700. This includes construction and all our soft costs for such things as consultant construction surveying, as well as construction testing of materials. Our original funding plan was a little bit more than that at $11,874,000. So it's a little bit under our original funding plan. A couple highlights from this to note: there's $4.8 million, almost 4.9 of geo improvement bonds. St. Paul Regional Water will be contributing about $671,000, and that's for our water main improvements, and there's about 1.9 million in street assessments. With that, tonight, Council, you have 3 items before you. Staff's recommendation is approval of the resolution receiving bids and awarding a construction contract to Park Construction. Staff does recommend the base bid and the bid alternate. Following that, Council will consider motions to authorize the use of WSB for construction surveying services, as well as ITT Incorporated for construction testing. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Love? Councilmember Cave.
Just one comment. Great move on that alternative, you know, with the parking lot right there. That's really wonderful. Thanks, Steve.
Okay, council members, no other questions? Then we have 3 actions. Would someone like to make a motion?
Motion
I
to
move to
approve.
approve.
I'll take at it. Motion to approve the resolution receiving bids and awarding a construction contract for the 2026 Maplewood Street Improvements City Project 25-21 to Park Construction Company for the base bid and bid alternate 1.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman. Motion A as listed in our packet. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is motion B. Would someone like to make that?
I authorize use of WSB Incorporated for construction surveying services.
Second.
It's traveling.
As written in the packet, because there's more in there.
Yes.
Is that, do you intend to
written in the
include that
packet,
too?
yes.
Okay, thank you. So moved by Juniman, seconded by Villavicencio. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries, and we have one other motion. Motion C, as written in our packet. Would someone like to make that?
I authorize the use of ITT Incorporated for construction testing services and further authorize mayor and city manager to sign the attached proposal from ITT Incorporated.
Second?
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave. Motion C, as listed in our packet. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries as well. I want to thank council and thank staff. We have concluded the business of the city tonight. Thank you, and we are adjourned.